Hello, my name is Brian Elrod, and I'm with Text Request, and welcome to our learning webinar today with our special guest Authvia. Today, we're going to cover the who, the what, and the why, and we're going to actually do a product demo so you can see how payments work. And at the end, we'll answer questions. Throughout the process, feel free to chat in your questions. We'll be doing live responses, and we can hopefully have some time to talk about those in the end. Now, who we are. Text Request is a business text messaging platform. We give your team the tools to connect with customers anytime, anywhere, through text messaging. And again, my name is Brian Elrod. I would like to take this time to introduce Johanna Brodlick from Authvia. Johanna?
Hello, thank you. So my name is Johanna Brodlick. As Brian said, I'm the Director of Customer Success at Authvia. And Authvia is excited to partner with Text Request on this webinar because we have enabled the ability to take payments right over text message. So when you're texting your customers from Text Request, they worked with Authvia so that you can seamlessly accept payment right in that conversation and know when those have paid. You're not having to hop between systems. So my role at Authvia is to work with customers, make sure that they have a great process set up. That's really why I like doing these webinars, is I get to share what some other customers have done, some of our common use cases, and talk through why payments will be really important for your business to utilize. So thank you for having me, Brian.
So what is payments, Johanna?
Yeah. So we make it easy for you to accept payments right over text. You'll hear it called payments, text to pay, a couple different names. You'll see it in Text Request under your Payments tab. And this makes it so that when you're texting your customer, you can request payment. Authvia will send a message that tells your customer a secure link to pay. And then when they've made that payment, it will go through a payment processor and those funds are sent right to your bank account. So we are facilitating some of that messaging with the secure links, and then we're making sure that you get paid through your payment processor of choice. So again, this makes it really easy for you to request and collect these payments right over text message from that Text Request interface.
So Johanna, why would you use payments?
So it's a common question we get, right? In a couple years ago, everything was contactless, and people have actually gotten used to having those contactless payments. So one reason that we see people using this is that business has changed. You're not always getting a mailed invoice, writing a check, and then sending that check back. And as a business owner, you don't want to wait 30, 45, 60 days to get those payments. So the contact payment has really come to stick around, and Authvia makes it easy for you to use that right through Text Request. We'll also speed up your cash flow. So I mentioned that in the point above, but it's an antiquated way of doing business at this point, waiting for that paper invoice, sending in the check. It takes up time, obviously takes you longer to get paid, and it's expensive to have a resource actually sending out these invoices and waiting for payments to come through. Authvia will also decrease the overhead and minimize your security risk. So when you're using payments through Text Request, we are creating these secure links and the secure area for your customers to pay. So you're not having, I hate when I hear this, but it happens, you're not having folks grabbing a sticky note, writing down the credit card, and then entering the credit card into a different system, in the future. This is all controlled by the consumer. You're sending out that link and they're securely entering in their payment information. So really making it easier for your staff and your customers to get those payments through. And then I think we touched on a few of these, or at this point in a few of the ones above, but your customers want these experiences. They expect an easier way to pay. As I said, business is changing. We've all figured out different ways of doing things, and accepting payments over text message is just one of the things that consumers are coming to expect.
Excellent.
A few of the common use cases, I guess, talking through that previous slide and some real life use cases that I've seen text payments come into play, replacing invoices. So whether you are sending out those paper checks or paper invoices, or you're sending out emails. I know my email is bombarded. I have invoices that I need to pay, but I've got my phone right here, and it'll be a lot faster for me as the consumer to make that payment right on my phone. Another way that we see businesses using text payments is for phone or text sales. So you have someone who is, maybe you're already using text requests to text about a sale or a part or an order, and you're confirming, yes, it'll ship on this date, we've got your address. Instead of putting in a separate process to get payment or calling them up and then having to talk on the phone about payment, you can send a text message and get payment that way. We also have folks that are used to doing phone sales. They're selling across the country, so they will actually send the text message while they're on the phone, have the person make the payment, and then they can see it all live in real time. And we'll show you that in the demo in just a minute here.
Johanna,
Other common use case, yeah.
This is making a lot of sense. I like it.
Yeah, there's some really creative and great use cases we see, right? These are the common ones, but when people really think about how they're accepting payments and how they could optimize the process, that's where you get into these great scenarios and really kind of delighting the customer in their experience. The last one that we see quite frequently is pre and post appointment. I see appointment and I kind of think of like, oh, the doctor's office or a copay or paying after an appointment. But there's lots of other types of appointments where this might make sense. You're a service dealership and you want to get a down payment or a good faith payment before you perform service on that car. Or you're texting people saying, hey, XYZ piece was replaced. Go ahead and make the payment and pick your car up at 1. You can facilitate that all over text. A scenario that I just had this week, my dog had to go into the vet and I was getting, phone calls with updates. They also they were texting me with updates, but then I had to pay. And it was this very kind of clunky process, and that I just wanted to get my dog. I could have paid earlier, would be happy to pay earlier, but she was crazy and jumping and excited. And they said, okay, hold on, we're gonna have you pay and then we'll get your dog so you can get out quickly. If I could have paid over text, that would be a really easy process. So I'm not having to be held up or have this overly excited dog trying to throw my credit card at the poor receptionist. So there's lots of different ways that this can be used. Any that come to mind for you, Brian?
Definitely reoccurring payments, Johanna.
Mm-hmm.
My lawn care, for example, I forget to pay that almost monthly. So if I could get the text, it would be a much easier process.
Yep. And in text requests, you can actually schedule requests. So if you know the next 3 months or 6 months you'll be paying that same amount, they could schedule those messages to send out all at once, and then they're not having to remember to send them, and you know what day to expect that payment request.
Sounds like the easy button.
Yep.
So how does this work?
Yeah. So let's walk into a little demo. We'll do a live demo. Always, you never know how live demos work, but let's hop into it. So here we are, right in text request. I am with Authvia, and I will say text request did such a great job of integrating Authvia and making this a seamless process. So easy to request the payments here. But here I am in a conversation. This happens to be me, so I can go ahead and make the payment while we're all here. But if I am texting with my customer and I need to request payment, I'll click this $sign. And then there's a few fields that I can enter in. So the first one is how much am I requesting payment for? We'll go ahead and use my dog's vet visit here as an example. So I'm acting as the veterinary office in this case. We'll say that Lois Lane here owes $250. This was for June's appointment. We can put in a message and say, June is doing great. Please pick her up at 1 p.m. There we go. We have the option of adding in convenience fees. So as a business, I can say always add in $1, always add in $2 on these requests. The convenience of paying over text message, I'll show you in the settings where you can actually set that up. It's completely optional. So as a business, you can choose to enable it for all of your payment requests or disable it. And then the last thing I can put in here, which is optional, is an invoice number or a reference number. So this is really helpful because it will actually pass through into the payment processor of your choice. So if we are looking at this payment from Lois Lane for $250, not only can I see that she used Visa 111 or whatever the part of that card is, but I can also see this invoice number, so reconciliation is really easy.
Very helpful.
Yep. Here's that scheduling that we talked about. So if I wanted to schedule this to send at a certain date or time, I could. If I want to send it right now, I'll just choose send payment request. One thing to note is that we are in a training mode. So it shows up here that we're in training mode. Everyone with access to text request is able to try this out now. So you're able to click on the $sign, send this payment request, and you won't have to pay any fees or process any live funds. We'll use a fake card, fake processor, but you'll get to see what the experience looks like. So we'll go ahead and send this out. I get a little note here letting me know that the payment request was successfully created. And then I can see this request over on the right. So it's sent from my same business line. And this consumer, Lois Lane, has used Authvia before. So typically she would just get this link, thelock.authvia.com, in order to make the payment. But you'll notice that this message says text B596 to make the payment. So one thing that Authvia is doing is anytime your customers use Authvia or pay over text, we'll create a wallet and securely store their payment information. So now as the person that is going to this vet office, I don't have to change the, I don't have to update or add my card every time I want to make the payment. If I want to use this Visa 111, I just hop over to my phone and I respond back with that 4-digit code. That code will be unique for each one of your customers. So each payment request will have a new code. And I can go ahead and send back that code. We'll see the message here. And then in just a second, we'll get another couple text messages letting us know that this payment is processing and then that it was successful. We'll give it just a couple minutes to come through here. Closer to seconds.
So Johanna, after you set it up the first time, then the convenience factor is just replying with a 4-digit code, basically.
Exactly. And you'll notice before we hop into that receipt, we do still include the link. So if the consumer wants to pay with their MasterCard for this one, or they want to split it and pay their Visa with one, MasterCard for another, you can always send those payment requests for the specific amount, and they can click this link, update their card on file, remove their card. They can control their Authvia wallet. So now I can see that this one was paid, and we can open up the receipt here. And this receipt will tell us a little bit about the payment. Give it a second to load here. So I've got my Acme Inc. logo up at the top. And again, I'll show you the settings so you can customize this for your business. And then we've got a receipt. So this details that reference number, has June's appointment with the amount, the convenience fee. Everything is laid out here. I can choose to print or download this. So as the business, you're not only receiving and seeing this receipt, but your consumer is seeing it as well. So that is the payment experience. Really easy to send these out, really easy for your consumer to make the payment. A couple customizations that you might want to take a look at. Over on our payments tab on the left, we have got a few different things to call out here. So one is this training mode banner. Again, it lets you know that we're not actually processing funds. And then we can see the status of our payment request. So really easy for that reporting and reconciliation, pretty straightforward. If I click in, I can see high-level information. I can choose to download this. If I have a request that hasn't been paid, I could choose to cancel the request, send a reminder, or mark it as paid offline. So there's a couple actions I can take on my outstanding request. If we keep going up to the top and we look at our payment settings, this is where we configure that branding and those convenience fees. So the friendly name is what will show up in the text message. If we go back, you'll see that that text message said Acme Inc. up at the top. Typically that would say, the vet office or the name of your business. We can choose to enable these convenience fees or not. If I set it as 0, then there won't be a convenience fee added in. I can choose when I want things to show up as past due on my report. So right now I have things updating to past due after 5 days. And then I can choose the color of that payments page, put in my hex number or choose a color here. So a little bit of configuring that you can set up. Anything I'm missing, Brian?
Oh, I think you've done a great job.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit about the setup process. You'll see up at the top, there is this blue box. And this is where we can choose to set up a payment processor, choose who we want to go with, and then eventually enter live mode and turn this on. Once you click enter live mode, training mode goes away, and any payment request that you send or pay will go against a live processor and will actually process and funds will move. So something to be aware of if you haven't gone live yet or tried this out. You can set up the payment processor, and then when your team is ready, enter live mode to actually process those payments. So let's go ahead and pull our slides back up here. We'll talk through a few of the features. So I didn't explicitly list it out earlier, only because it's quite the word garbling to get out here. But Authvia is Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard compliant. So PCI DSS, if you're a business owner, I'm sure you've heard about being PCI compliant. Authvia is PCI compliant. So that means that as long as you are using Authvia or text request payments to accept payment, we're going to take care of that compliance for you. Everything is stored in a secure manner. You don't have to worry about that piece of processing payments. We also have those real-time payment notifications. So you saw right in the demo, we get text messages as things are being paid, as those payments are coming through. We also have the mobile security. So your consumer really has the control over making that payment, entering in their information. Same idea with that Authvia wallet. They are able to own their payment information. One thing I didn't show on the demo is what that payment screen looks like. Recommend sending a request to yourself so you can see it for yourself. But as a business, you can choose to accept debit and credit card payments, as well as ACH. So if you want to accept that full gamut, then you certainly can. We just ask for the basic ACH routing and account number. For the card, we ask for the card number, expiration date, typical fields that you're entering in, nothing too wild there. And then you saw that live reporting and the dashboard to show you what's been paid. That all will update in real time. So as customers are making payments, you don't necessarily have to watch for that receipt. You can look at the reports that Text Request is already built out for you to know the status of those requests. Okay, costs and fees. At this point, people are typically wondering, how much does this cost? Sounds great. What do I need to know?
I've noticed
so
that.
Payments is included. Yeah.
I've noticed that very question come in, Joanna. So let's get to it.
Yep, we'll cover it. Didn't want to leave everyone hanging. So payments is included on all the text request plans. You're able to try it out, send those payment requests, see what it looks like. That is something that you can do today. Once you decide to enter live mode, that's when there will be transaction fees. And so we have a couple options, and we'll actually just pull open our page here and I'll talk through those options. We've got a couple minutes. We can do something live here. So we'll go ahead and open this page where you can see the payment processing options. We've got a couple here. One on the left is Authvia Payments. So if you choose to use Authvia Payments, meaning you don't already have a processor that you love, you only have one, it's always good to have a couple on hand, then I'd recommend signing up for this payments account. Really straightforward sign up process. I'll actually show you what it looks like. It's very easy to create this merchant processing account. If you've ever used Stripe or something like that, similar process. You'll enter in some information about your business here. Create your username and password for this Authvia payments account. We'll need information about the principal of the business. So date of birth, ownership percent, business title. This is federally mandated. Since payments are being processed, we have to know who we're processing those payments for. And then you tell us where you want your money. So you can use Plaid, which will have you log into, for example, your Chase account or your Bank of America business account so that we can get the correct place to deposit those funds. Or you can enter it in manually if you don't have that information handy. And then we've got our terms and conditions. You're checking a couple boxes to say that you understand the pricing and that you're able to create this payment processing account for the business. So really easy to set this one up. We've had businesses that fill out payrix and they're up and running with text request payments same day. So this is Authvia payments. Payrix is kind of behind the scenes, the portal that you'll get, how it works. Authvia supports all of that. So when you do create that account, we'll reach out and let you know it was created, offer a training session, and you'll be charged 2.9% and 30 cents per transaction for debit or credit cards, 1% for ACH and e-check. And again, optional to accept ACH, does take a little bit longer to process, but Payrix has next day deposits for this option. So if you do sign up and start processing, you'll get your funds very quickly. The other option that we have is bringing your own processor or gateway. So if you have someone that you love working with, for example, Elavon Converge, WorldPay Vantiv, CardConnect, CardPoint, Authorize.net, then we can connect to that existing processor. Fees will vary by processor, so we have a contact us to learn more. But typically, as we've got kind of laid out in this deck, it's 5% or 5 cents per request and 35 cents per transaction. So different fees depending on the processor that you go with. I will say I like the use our processor only because it's an easy sign up process. You can get up and running same day. If you do choose to bring your own processor, then we'll need to get credentials from that account, and it just delays the process a bit depending on your relationship with that processor and getting that information. But definitely a couple different options there. If you do want to learn more about bring your own processor, you can reach out to that customer success at authvia.com. Anything to add here, Brian?
No, I think that's very helpful. It explains a lot. And I think that will answer the pricing questions. But to recap everything that Johanna just went through, payments is a secure way to request and collect payments via text. Payments decrease the transaction time and increase customer satisfaction. I know that for sure. And payments is included with all text request plans.
Excellent.
If you would like to learn more, you can schedule a demo at textrequest.com. Click on the demo link. Of course, you're welcome to call or text. If you're a current customer, we offer trainings that you can attend. Just click on the question mark inside your dashboard to schedule a payments training. Johanna, I think we have plenty of time to get around to a few questions. If we run out, I can always throw up some of the most common questions.
Yeah, we got 6 more minutes. Will, I know we have Will monitoring the questions here. Will, you want to fire off some questions?
Yeah, one question we've received twice is around how this counts against the text message fees associated with the each text request plan.
Sure.
So
there's, go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead, Johanna. Let's let you answer.
Well, so you still have those, I think with the lowest plan has 1,000 text messages, and the Authvia text will count towards those messages. So in the example where we had a repeat customer making a payment, there was the initial text, the 4-digit code, there was the text back from the customer, and then 2 more letting us know that it was successful. So that would count as 4 of your 1,000 text messages through text request. Anything to add on that one, Brian? I think
No,
real life example.
I think that's exactly correct.
Okay.
There's another interesting question here around whether or not this is HIPAA compliant. So I will first speak from the payment side, and then Brian, I'll turn it over to you on the tech side.
Sure.
So on the payment side, if your customer is paying any sort of a bill for a medical procedure, the payment side of the house is HIPAA compliant. So that part is good. Brian, I know HIPAA is one of those situations that is ever changing and overly complicated. So I'll leave it to you on that.
It certainly is, but the easy answer to that is if you have a text request HIPAA compliant account, you'll be totally HIPAA compliant. If you do not have a HIPAA compliant account and would like one, you can give us a call and we can work you through that process.
Cool. Another question that I'm getting are, various questions around, hey, is this processor supported? Is that processor supported? If I want to bring my own. Johanna, would you speak to, how many processors we support and what the process is to connect those existing accounts?
Sure. So we connect to over 200 different processors and gateways. I hope I saved everyone from having to list all of those out on this call, but there's 200 different ones. We connect directly to, Converge, WorldPay, CardPoint, Authorize.net, NMI. There's 10 to 15 or so that we get to directly. So we have a team that works specifically with that partner. If you're having issues getting the credentials for that account, we can certainly help you out. The other kind of majority of these, we do work with a partner where we can set up an account and connect. Either way, we're going to need specific credentials for your account. And I wish that it was as clear cut as saying, click here, do this, and then give us whatever number appears in this field. But every single gateway and processor is going to be different as to what fields you need to connect. So it is easiest to just reach out to customer success, say, hey, I work with, I work with NMI, how do we connect? And then Authvia can help you and say, okay, we need these credentials. This is how you can find them. If you have trouble, we'll reach out to our resources. So it's typically a few pieces of information that we need from your account. I just can't speak to what those are across the board, but we're happy to help out in those conversations. I've certainly been in the payments industry for quite a while, so we have a good handle on how these payments work and these different relationships, and are definitely happy to help you navigate getting those credentials and getting you set up.
Hey, Brian, I'm seeing a question here that I think is perfect for you. The question is basically asking, is there a way to send forms or documents or pictures or other things ahead of a payment request? That might explain why the payment request is about to come.
Right, so you can certainly send a text prior, but you can send an MMS, which would include an image of a document. So JPEG, PNG, that sort of image file could be sent prior.
And that makes sense. I always recommend, whether it's a document or a text message, something before just blindly sending this request. I think everyone is a little leery of, hey, pay this thing and this link. Identify yourself as the business. Say, hey, this is Johanna with XYZ Vet Service. We saw June today. I'll go ahead and send you a request so you can make your payment. Or if your team is talking to the people, face to face, let them know that they should be receiving a message over text.
So Johanna, last question. We've talked about a bunch of use cases and industries. As you think about the different text to pay implementations you've done, what is the smallest transaction you can remember and what is the largest transaction you can remember?
I like this question. So there, I know my largest, and this is a great use case. Smallest, gosh, I mean, we see $1, a couple dollars, $5. We had an ice cream truck that sold ice cream, coffee, chocolates. They would have people send in their order over text. They'd send the payment request. So I'm paying for my, $4 coffee. And then I go in and they can see that it's been paid. I pick it up at the window. Don't have to worry about paying or moving money across. One of the larger payments that we've seen was, we've had, $40,000, $50,000 paid over text. I can't remember what it was specifically for this use case, but we've actually had adoption agencies using payment requests over text. So when someone makes a payment for an adoption, they will make that payment right over text message. And those obviously are important and a little bit larger dollar values, but those are some of the ones that I thought was such a neat use case and higher dollar values as well. So that's one of those creative ones that I love hearing and seeing how people integrate this into their process.
I think that is an excellent. I think that's an excellent way to end this learning webinar. Again, thank you for joining Text Request and our special guests, Authvia, Johanna, and Will. Again, textrequest.com if you would like to learn more or speak to one of our representatives. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.